I want to ask a couple of students questions, right? I have a question I want to ask you. Can I have just a volunteer of someone who doesn't know anything about the United States? You came here to study. Maybe you're a freshman. You really don't know anything about the U.S. and U.S. culture. You just have to answer a question for me. Awesome. Where are you from?
I'm from Egypt.
From Egypt? What's your name?
Nadia.
Nadia? So can you move the slides forward? So one of these is a mascot. You know what a sports mascot, right? Like Penn State's the Lions and so on. Which one is an actual mascot? Do you know?
The left one, like the most outer left.
The one on the far left?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Maybe because of like
the cheeks? Well, they all kind of look the same. Like, what makes you think that would be a mascot and not the other ones?
I feel like I saw that. I don't know where.
Oh, you've seen it somewhere?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. What do you think about that as a mascot, as somebody from Egypt?
I feel like none of them should be mascots.
None of them should be?
Yeah.
Why so? Why?
Aren't like mascots animals most of the time?
Yeah, but sometimes we use people. Here we do anyway.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I feel like no ethnicity should be a mascot.
Yeah. Have you studied anything about Native Americans? American Indians?
Yeah, a bit in school.
What have you learned?
Well, I've learned that, the history of how they were here first, and then Christopher Columbus or whatever that came in and claimed the land.
And committed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's you, if your ancestors, instead of being Egyptian, if you were American Indian, what would you think about that?
Offensive.
Well, how so? Why? What would make it offensive?
I feel like just like using my culture or my heritage to be a mascot in front of like schools would be offensive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hear it's kind of wild, right? Like any of those could be, it's kind of the same image in a way, right? If you think about it. And so any of them could be what's interesting is that in the United States, so the Indian was a mascot for a baseball team in Cleveland. Cleveland's a city that is notable because its river caught on fire one time. That's how polluted it is. But that was before you were born. Anyway, so that was the mascot for the sports team, right? So everybody wore that, and the image is everywhere, right? But because it was everywhere, people didn't really necessarily see it as offensive or as a problem, right? Because you just grow up with it and you don't really think about it. It's like one of these things that you don't think about. But when you look at it and compare it to the other ones, right? Imagine like the Cleveland Blacks or Cleveland Jews or Cleveland Chinese. It takes a different feel, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's wild. And this actually is from I think it's from the 1980s. I mean, it goes back a long way. This is a Native American cartoonist from a long time ago. Like, this has been an issue for many, many years. And people who support Native American mascots have been fighting this for many years. Fighting Native people saying, like, hey, we're really offended by this. This is a really bad idea. They've been fighting it, and the supporters of the teams have been fighting them to say, no, this is our mascot. This is our heritage, our history. We want to use this mascot. And indigenous peoples are saying, dude, that's effed up, man. That's really a problem. So it's just now in these past few years have we started to make a shift. So it's fascinating, right? I think it's one of these things that for me, it's like the fish is the one creature that doesn't see water. Because you don't see water if you're a fish. You don't know what water is. You're just in water, right? Just like kind of we're in air. And you don't think about what air is. Like it just is. Air is air. And the fish as a creature doesn't see water. And so there are certain things about culture that we don't see because if it's part of your culture, you don't see it. and you don't understand it. But when you look at it in terms of these images, it's just highly offensive, man. Highly offensive. And it shows you how much power Native Americans have, or don't have, I should say, American Indians here in the United States. Given how many years American Indians have been talking about how offensive these mascots are, and nobody has listened. Like, people have not listened. And including black and brown people, right? I mean, I could show you lots of images of black and brown people with, Cleveland Indians logos and, the Washington Redskins logos, and dressing up like the Washington Redskin mascot and so on, and not even thinking anything of it. Like, you would never do Washington Blacks, but Washington or Blackskins, but the Redskins somehow is okay. So I think in my way of seeing things, a class like this, or my experience in talking about these issues over the years, has been one in which I've really stepped outside of my world and just tried to see things from a different perspective. So this is one of those, right? You know what that image is from? Do you have any idea? You know what group that signifies? Alejandra, who do you think? It's a caricature. Right. I mean, it's an old cartoon. It's an old caricature. So who do you think?
Either African Americans or Indians, just with the way their faces are drawn.
Yeah. Abby, what do you think? What's it signify? What is it?
I'm not really sure, but I see a goat. Maybe that has something to do with it.
No, the
like
goat
a goat
doesn't.
region.
Yeah. All right, goat region. Okay, got it. So what's this being right here?
I can't really see it too well.
Here, step out here a little bit. Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
What do you think?
Well, I see like a lady on the left. It looks like she's like breaking something.
Yeah.
Then there's like a dude next to the goat.
And who's
away.
the guy? Like, what's he look like? What?
Like what? Like ethnicity?
No, what animal? Whatever. What ethnicity? What ethnicity is he? And what's he made to look like?
Well, he looks like a human, but they almost gave him like monkey-like features, like the mouth. To me, almost resembles like a cartoon monkey.
Here, go to the next one. How about that one?
Yeah, that looks like a monkey.
So who do you think that is? Do you have any idea?
Well, based off like in like history classes, a lot of times like they portrayed like African Americans in a negative light, like a monkey, which is not cool.
Liv, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with they're probably portraying black people with a monkey, and then there's also like that guard holding something. So it seems like he's kind of watching over them, kind of supervising in a sense.
Nafisa, what do you think? By the way, Nafisa, they're all wrong. So don't say what they're saying. The monkey part you're okay with, but what?
So what are you at, like the background?
No, who is that? Who's it portraying? It's not black people.
Like the black man?
No, it's not black people at all.
Mm-hmm.
The monkey was used for another group also. You don't have any idea, right? Yeah. Which is interesting, right? So these are caricatures, which is what makes it so fascinating. These are caricatures of Irish, right? So one of the things and this is going to build up to why are you so sensitive, right? These are caricatures of Irish people. So Irish were depicted as monkeys, right? As closer to the apes than human beings, right? I mean, this is just the Italians, the Irish, the Slavs, and when there was every group that came into the United States, in some ways was depicted in some kind of negative way by somebody. But the Irish were very much depicted as very much as monkeys, right? And so, but we don't talk about that. And it used to be highly offensive to the Irish, right? As you could imagine, right? Really super highly offensive. But at some point in time, it doesn't become offensive anymore, right? Because the Irish stop being Irish and they start being white. And then once they start being white, then all the white people come together and it's like, okay, here we go. So here's another slide that shows how and why this isn't offensive, right? So this is George Bush, the president, George Bush, right? He was president a while ago, back when most of you were really young. And so somebody put these slides together of Bush, of his facial features, and then they found pictures of monkeys to say, hey, here's George Bush looking just like a monkey. And is that, so Abby, as a white person, is that offensive to you?
I think it's kind of cute.
Kind of cute? Yeah? Because which one's the cutest? The monkey pictures or the George Bush pictures, or both?
Like, just how, like, it's paired together. Like, I think monkeys are super cute. Like, I don't find that offensive. I think it's just cute and funny.
Okay. All right. Liv? Nafisa? Is it? Liv, how about you?
Well, in the way that it looks like a meme. It looks kind of like what she said, like more of a fun thing and not an offensive, like picking at them meanly.
Okay, got it. All right, man. So here, take a look at this one. So this is Michelle Obama depicted. It's the same thing. So, Abby, is that cute?
It almost looks more offensive just because, like, from my angle, it looks like most of the monkey faces are, like, aggressive and not, like, it almost looked like the ones with George Bush, like, look friendlier, and these, like, almost depict, like, something more negative.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like this one would be considered offensive.
Nafisa, how about you? Michelle Obama.
I feel like this one could be seen as offensive, I think it is, and I feel like the other one with George Bush could be seen as offensive too, but people don't really know that background about the Irish as much as they know about African Americans being compared to, wild animals and such. So I feel like they both could be seen as offensive, especially if you know how the Irish people were treated and what they were depicted as a while ago.
And Bush isn't Irish, by the way. It's just, he's just a white guy.
Oh, okay. Then never mind.
But nonetheless, maybe if he did his DNA test, he might be, right? So how about Liv? How about you? Or no, Alejandro, what about you?
I agree with what Abby said. I feel like the monkey pictures in these ones are just much more aggressive. It's as if they were trying to make it offensive. Or the other one where it was just it was just funny. It was just kind of being like, oh, you look like this, haha.
Yeah.
Not trying to be rude.
Maybe. I only see a couple that are really particularly aggressive in this one. But let me just offer something else, right? Could you imagine putting this on your wall? If it was like Joe Biden next to monkeys. Could you put it on your Facebook wall?
No.
Okay. Can you imagine people doing it, though? The Bush one, because it's kind of fun. It's like a meme, right? Yeah. But the Michelle Obama one, you'd never do that? Yeah. So here, let me just say something, right? It's hard to be offended by something if you don't even know what it is that you should be offended by, right? If there's a word for you, like a word in another language, it's sort of like swearing in another language, right? There are words in other languages, there are swear words that you can say that they don't really mean anything to you because it's sort of like it's just vocalizations. So, so there's this thing you say I hear it in Colombia, and I don't really hear it anywhere else. But it's it's just one of these things that you just don't say in public. And what it is nos llevó el putas. Nos llevó el putas, right? You have any idea what that means? No. It means basically we're fucked. But fucked in but it means it in it's just a really vulgar way to say it. So I learned this thing, and I'm always looking for opportunities to say it when I'm in Colombia, right? Because I'm just like, hey, it's cool, right? It's just like, yeah, we're fucked, because it's just really simple, because you want to say that sometimes, right? And so I'm always, nos llevó el putas. And so, but when I'm around people, there have been a couple times when I've been in a situation where I was just about to say it, and my friend sitting across the room is just like, no, don't say that, right? Like, you know you're going to say it, but don't say it. Or, here in the United States, right? It doesn't mean anything to me. It means nothing. And so, in some ways, this being offended by things is a similar kind of thing, right? Like, if it doesn't mean, this isn't racist, it's not a problem, it's just we're looking at George Bush as an individual. But go to the next slide. This is not only Michelle Obama, this is a reference to all black people. This is highly offensive because it's a characterization of black Americans that was used to all black people, actually, that was used to justify treatment of black people in some really, really terrible ways, right? But the other one with Bush is nothing. It's just like this funny thing that you do. So it doesn't have the offensive quality to it. And so sometimes people who might be offended by something might be offended, like it wouldn't be offensive to me, but it might be offensive to one of you, like the references to women, things that I could say, or things that other people would say, that they have a certain meaning for you because of what it means for all women. But it doesn't seem like it should be that big of a deal, or why would it be that big of a deal, right? So one of the things that I want to talk about today, I want to keep talking about this, is like these things that really stand out, or things that really matter that other people don't necessarily know about or don't understand, okay?